Welcome to An Alternate Hue. I'm Hugh Anderson, and you've just got to love Washington's creativity. Now that the two large spending initiatives coming out of Washington have met the word no from a precious few politicians, the alchemy kits are being dusted off to see if we can get this thing done, for better or worse. It'll most likely be worse. The supporters of the legislation are scrambling to finance their proposals after Arizona Senator Kyrsten Sinema opposed their plans to raise corporate and individual income tax rates. So in true shape-shifting mode, they're attempting to include a wealth tax. This would be a tax on property rather than income. But according to Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen, it's not a wealth tax, but a tax on unrealized capital gains of exceptionally wealthy individuals. To be truly exceptional, one of the chosen few. So, if Mr. Musk or Bezos, or name one of your favorite rich villains, see one of their mansions rise in value by 10%, then they'll have to pay a tax on that increased value. But who's in charge of adjudicating that alleged rise in property value? Your local realtor? How about a formal appraisal? Will we use comps of similar properties? Better yet, how about the IRS? Once the appointed valuation judge weighs in, then we can just call our local former personal injury attorney, who now specializes in fighting property value assertions. Just call 1-800-FIGHT-THE-TAX. Now if we're talking about the rich folks' stock, well, that's easy. Value on December 31st minus the value on January 1st. Of course, they'll get a refund in a year their stock holdings decline in value, right? The Washington Post reports that a summary of the draft plan would allow taxpayers to deduct losses on the value of assets. Does that include deducting the full value of paper losses from stock market corrections? Probably not, because under current law, taxpayers can only deduct $3,000 in net losses from the sale of their financial assets in any given year. Now, Washington claims the tax will only hit some 700 mega-rich Americans with more than $1 billion in assets or who have more than $100 million in income for 3 consecutive years. So where have we heard that before? The tax will only hit the, insert name your target here. The first income tax enacted after ratification of the 16th Amendment in 1913 had 7 tax brackets with rates from 1% on income over $3,000, which equates to about $83,000 today, to 7% on income exceeding $500,000, which is about $14 million today. Funny how the times change. And I don't mean ha-ha funny. A single taxpayer making $83,000 today will pay 22%, not the aforementioned 1%, and then rich folks pay at least 39.6% plus the opportunity to donate more when surcharges and other gotchas are applied. The alternative minimum tax also only applied initially to the richest Americans, but it's now enjoyed by millions in the middle class. According to the Wall Street Journal, maybe the only impediment to extending the wealth tax more broadly is the challenge of administering it. Even House Ways and Means Chairman Richard Neal acknowledges it would be a logistical nightmare. It's not clear if the tax would apply to non-financial assets like artwork and jewelry and intellectual property. If so, more Americans could get soaked since the IRS will no doubt inflate the value of non-financial assets, as it often does with the estates of high earners. A tax court this year ruled that the late entertainer Michael Jackson's likeness and image were worth about $157 million less than the IRS claimed. Will the current plan tax Americans' likeness and image? How about copyrights and patents? The IRS will have to hire many more auditors to assess the value of property, which will mean more tax litigation. And complexity is one reason why European countries, including France, Germany, and Sweden, abandoned broad-based wealth taxes. Many of the rich dodged wealth taxes by exploiting carve-outs or flat-out moving. Sweden abolished its wealth tax in 2007 following an exodus of capital and business tycoons. France repealed its net wealth tax in 2018, estimating that some 10,000 people with a lot of euros had left in the previous 15 years for tax reasons. And the government was losing revenue from income taxes that the wealthy would have paid. Now, it's estimated that the wealth tax will raise $200 to $250 billion over a decade, but that won't cover many of the initiatives in the legislation. The very rich will find ways to avoid confiscatory taxes, and the rest of us who don't have the resources to avoid will just get run over by Washington's good intentions. Bad tax policy distorts investment. No longer will we look for an opportunity to grow our hard-earned capital. No, we'll spend most of our time trying to hide our hard-earned capital, if we can. The good news? A wealth tax is also probably illegal. The Constitution says Congress can only impose, quote, direct taxes, unquote, that are apportioned among the several states according to population. While the 16th Amendment authorized Congress to tax incomes from whatever source derived without apportionment, unrealized capital gains are an income. So the kabuki dance of tax policy continues. Although it's patently obvious, even to my feeble mind, that this scheme, like the BRICS like to say, is challenged at best and a farce at worst, our representatives and senators will continue to assume our math skills and logic and are subnormal and try to paper over the massive mismatch between what they're trying to do and what they can raise to pay for it. That's it for this rant. I'm Hugh Anderson, and this has been An Alternate Hugh. I hope you enjoyed it, and we'll see you soon.